just verifying that. Yeah, if you're interested, there's a copy for you.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir. And like in that, it proves violation of Section 24.2 of the Virginia Code, which is election law.
There's a limited number of holiday gift dollars out there, and whoever gets the first wins.
It was never seriously looked at in the sense that there was a belief that it ought to be done or it needed to be done.
Wall Street is beginning November with a bit of a rally. West Street is up now. This is CBS.
Chris Matthews, host of MSNBC's Hardball.
Here under Hardball, you can expect me to discuss history as it relates to what's happening now. You can expect to hear me analyze what politicians are doing today with what I've seen other politicians do before. And you can expect me to fight for the causes that stirred me in my 20s.
She'll leave the gym's office. She'll leave the gym's office.
Life missions accepted. And this is Hardball.
Hardball with Chris Matthews, weeknights at 7 p.m. Eastern, only on MSNBC.
Yeah, I listened to the show, the mass incarceration show. I was going to maybe speak on mass incarceration as well.
We're going to have another show.
War on drugs, that sort of thing. That's kind of one of our main points.
Here's a look at area
About 3 minutes. We ever have the email address for the lady from Lunenburg? We never got her email address.
No, I didn't get it.
I didn't get it either. I mean,
No.
she never. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah, I got it last night.
I had talked with T, and you just had one more guest come into the studio, right? Just one more.
You just talked to who?
Tia. Mm-hmm.
I thought Kizzy and...
You had one call in, right? You had one person calling in?
That must be Kizzy. Irvin said she's coming to the studio.
Okay. So then you...
And I thought Kizzy said he was coming to the studio.
Oh, okay. I thought I heard you say you wanted to call.
I made... And the first time I talked to him, he wanted to do it by phone.
Okay.
And then the second time I talked to him...
So it's kind of up in the air.
It was sort of...
Oh, either way, Tia knows.
Yeah, okay. Gotcha. You know, my position is being in the studio is always better than being on television.
Yeah.
That's what I think.
About a minute and a half.
We'll see. Okay. All right.
Partly cloudy, high near 70. Tomorrow night, partly cloudy, low around 43. Sunday, clear skies, high near 47.
I'm going,
Sunday night, clear
Trayvon
skies,
Martin's attorney.
Monday,
I'm going to get him back on the show.
Oh, yeah?
Tuesday, partly cloudy.
He's been on the show before?
Yeah. Let me tell you what happened. He's from Lumberton, North Carolina. When I was in college, I did my student teaching in Lumberton. Met a lot of people there. I didn't know it. And I had him on the show before he became big. Like Trayvon Martin, let's see, his murder was announced like on a Monday. I had the attorney on the show that Thursday or that Friday.
Wow.
Yeah. Go back and look at the thing.
Okay.
We got today.
Billy must have done the show that day, because I don't remember that.
Who did it?
Might have been Logan, too.
It may have been Logan. All right.
You are now entering the virtual world of one man that someone you may not know. You may know baseball. You may know engineering. You might even know your supply.
No, you good. You good. You good. You keep the stuff right there. Keep the stuff right there.
So sit back and listen to the edgy, entertaining, and educational talk show from beautiful downtown Richmond, Virginia. Now, here.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so very much for being with me on the Jack Gravely Show, coming to you from WLEE News Talk 990. Ladies and gentlemen, with me on the show is Mr. Chris Dorsey. Mr. Dorsey is one of the candidates running for sheriff in the city of Richmond. He's in the studio. We're going to try to ask him some questions, and then I'm going to open the phone up for questions and answers to him. And for those of you out there listening to the Jack Grabber Show, Mr. Dorsey is a guest in my house. I need not say more. Mr. Dorsey, why do you want to be sheriff?
Thank you for having me, Mr. Gravely. Our country is having some major issues. I think that we have a system of government that has completely failed the people and has completely failed to uphold the law, and the law being the United States and Virginia Constitution. And I think that translates into complete corruption and a complete loss of confidence of the people. And I feel that in order to restore confidence, we need to restore control of the government back to the people. And that's why I'm running for sheriff.
So you're running for sheriff to restore control back to the people? I'm
running to end the corruption in the sheriff's department. We have a completely corrupt sheriff's department.
And what corruption are you talking about? That's a big charge.
I would say wrongful deaths, unlawful conditions at the jail, violations of amendments to the Constitution prohibiting cruel and unusual punishment, and I would say that things like hiring family members or interrogating employees who are wrongly accused of alerting the media of 12 family members being hired. If people read the Richmond Times-Dispatch today, will have seen Reed Williams' article, which announced a case, Lewis v. Woody, which was filed on October 24th, and that's going to cost the taxpayers millions of dollars when it's all said and done. And there's lots of violations of the law that C.T. Woody is committing, and it's costing the taxpayers millions of dollars, and it's also, a violation of the law, violation of his oath to uphold the Constitution.
So your platform is basically tantamount to saying that C.T. Woody is running a corrupt sheriff office unconstitutionally and should be removed.
I would say he definitely should be removed. I've been saying that for years. Absolutely. I've been saying that publicly for years, and many people have heard it. And I would say that, yes, C.T. Woody is corrupt, but he's just part of a corrupt gang that runs this city government.
And what would you do as sheriff? Why would you as sheriff want to go into a cesspool of people?
Because it needs to be cleaned up.
And how would you clean it up?
Well, first of all, I would open all of the information up to the public. Now, the current sheriff's department and the current Richmond government, they do everything they can to hide things. Now, a lot of people are focused on the fact that C.T. Woody has, at one point and another, had at least 12 family members working for him at the jail, including a family member that handles the grievance process. So any grievance against the sheriff has to go through his own family member.
Okay.
So what I would say is I've taken an oath on live radio to say that I will not hire family members. I will not hire people, based on favoritism, and that would be one of the first ways that to clean up the corruption. We have to open the government up to public scrutiny, because under the law, all power is vested and derived from the people. It says that in redundancy in the Virginia and U.S. Constitution. It means you're in charge of the government. City of Richmond, citizens of the City of Richmond, you are in charge of the government. And when I'm sheriff, running the courts and running the jail, I will make that so. No other person in government can do that like the sheriff of the City of Richmond.
So what do you account for the fact that Sheriff Woody, I think he's run 2 successful campaigns and been elected overwhelmingly by the people in the City of Richmond? What would you attribute that to? Why is he, and he seems to be a popular sheriff in this city, so why is he so popular if he's so corrupt?
Well, I'm not sure how popular he is. He's not very popular amongst the people that I talk to.
Okay.
He's very unpopular amongst the people I talk to. And I will say that we have a crooked and corrupt system. I mean, he's raising money from people like G3, Incorporated. That's a IT infrastructure firm, and basically the people who run the jail, they're also financing the elections. They're buying votes. Votes are being bought. I mean, C.T. Woody is raised lots and lots of money, and he's buying votes, and that's how most everything goes in politics at this point. I would say usually it's not run by the people, for the people. It's run by the corporations and for the corporations.
Have you or anyone else filed any complaints about this G3 or employees financing the election? Filed any complaints or made any notes to the press or any charges or any investigation on this matter?
Sure. Everything that...
tell me about those complaints or investigations. What happened?
Well, I mean, I will tell you about complaints against the most serious crimes that C.T. Woody has committed, and that's killing people in that jail in violations of Amendment 8 to the Constitution.
Now, whoa, Mr. Dorsey, when you come on my show and make a big charge like that, you got to bring big evidence.
Sure.
You just said that C.T. Woody killing people in the jail. What evidence do you have of the fact that C.T. Woody, are you saying he himself killed people, or his administration?
He is in charge of the jail, and he's being charged and convicted in courts of law for wrongful deaths, and all one has to do is read the cases in which are brought forward, which is costing the taxpayers millions of dollars, and he's running a torturous jail, and the conditions in that torturous jail, be them beatings from his employees, or withholding medication, or withholding water, they're causing people to die.
Do you have a case you can cite?
I've got a lot of cases.
Wait, let me ask my question, and I'll let you respond.
Yes.
Do you have a case where you can cite that Mr. Woody has been charged and found guilty of being negligently or responsible for the death of an inmate,
yes,
or any corruption in the jail? What case or what finding or what determination can you cite?
Well, let me go through a few of the cases.
No, just cite me one. Just cite me one.
Okay. Coger v. Woody, Johnson v. Woody, Harris v. Woody.
You're giving me names of cases. Right. Give me the case. If you get me Harris v. Woody, Coker v. Woody, tell me what was the decision or what was the finding in the case. Did it find him guilty, and if so, based upon what?
I'd like to talk about the $2.4 million wrongful death lawsuit, and I guess that was Robinson v. Woody, and C.T. Woody and Stanley Furman were found guilty in the death of a man named Mr. Robinson. So I would say that is a case, and that's been well reported in the newspaper. $2.4 million. Grant Sleeper, there was a $10 million lawsuit with Grant Sleeper. That case was settled, and that case was sealed by federal judge Henry Hudson because they didn't want the exact amount of millions of dollars that C.T. Woody's 8th Amendment violations cost the taxpayers. So that was a $10 million suit. It was settled, and all the information about the settlement was sealed by a federal judge.
Okay, now you said as sheriff, one of the things you're going to do is that you would not hire any family members.
Absolutely.
That would be one of the policies that you would invoke and use as a new sheriff of the city.
Yes, sir.
What else would you do to change the corruption and the illegal activity, your words, that Sheriff Woody is perpetrating on the taxpayers of Richmond?
Well, first of all, as I said, the Constitution, as we all know, that's the law. So that's really the only thing I have to do is serve the people and uphold the Constitution. So policies I would change would be, I would say, to keep things from happening, people need to be scrutinized. I need to be scrutinized, especially when I'm going to be working for the people as a government official. And the employees, they need to be scrutinized as well. So I would say that when sheriff's departments and police departments make their employees wear cameras, police brutality is decreased, and upholding the law is increased. So I would say everything is going to be filmed and scrutinized by the people. We'll have citizen commissions. We will tape all the activity inside the courtroom to the jail, so no one can say that people are disappearing, like people are saying that people are disappearing and going into isolation cells for days at a time and weeks at a time. That won't happen. That's illegal right now, but it's happening in the Richmond City Jail, and I've talked to people face to face.
That people are disappearing inside the jail.
People are going into what they call strip cells and staying in there for weeks at a time with nothing but a hole in the floor to go to the bathroom.
Come on, Chris Dorsey.
That's
taking place at Richmond City Jail?
We've been talking about this on live radio. We have people that are calling in to live radio programs and describing what's going on in the Richmond City Jail. I've talked to a number of people that say, this is going on. We talked about it on Shirley Harvey's radio show 2 nights ago. All the candidates
that
have talked
inmates
about this.
in that jail have to use a hole in the ground for a bathroom.
That's what I've heard from a number of people, yes.
Have anyone ever asked for a tour, for cameras to go in to see?
I would say we need cameras to go in, and why hasn't it happened before? And also, just doing simple Google searches and doing research, because that's all I do. I take actions, I hear from the public, I do research, and then I find out what the facts are. And what I'm seeing is that there's been FBI investigations that have been started in the jail.
Okay, hold on. We have to take a break. We're at break time. Ladies and gentlemen, when we come back, we're going to have about 12 to 13 minutes left in the interview for you to call in and ask Mr. Dorsey questions. Now listen, don't give me a history to ask the question. Just ask the question, because time is of importance this morning. And we'll be right back on the Jack Gravely Show, 788-0990.
Yeah, we've been talking about that on live.
They actually have holes in the jail.
Hole in the floor, yeah. And one of the people talked to me and said that he was in there for 57 days. And he said, swore...
That's rough to believe. I'm not saying it's not, but it's rough to believe.
It is hard to believe, but I've heard it from so many different people in so much detail.
I'm going to ask him about that.
And also, we talked about it on the radio. We talked about it publicly on multiple radio shows with
Now, wait a minute.
Antoinette Irving, and myself.
Now, Dorsey, you talk about an issue like that on our radio show, and the press can hold to it. Why in the hell haven't the press gone down there?
Because they're in on all of this. They're covering it all up. We tape all the interviews with Reed Williams. Reed Williams, right here. I'll show you what he put in the paper. This was on the front page of the newspaper.
Just tell me. Just tell me.
They're covering it up.
When you say they who?
Richmond Free Press, Style Magazine, Reed Williams, Tom Silvestri. I know Tom. Tom and I have long conversations. Tom is covering so much
and
stuff.
They have heard about the hole in the floor and that kind of thing, and refuse to go down and ask Sheriff Woody, we want to take a complete tour of the jail.
Take a complete tour of the jail.
He wants to put cameras on deputies.
Well, they don't give a complete tour of the jail. They'll lead people through to places where they want them to see.
Okay.
Of course. It's simple stuff. It's all simple. It's crime cover-up. That's the way government works. But here's the one that this is kind of the nail in the coffin as far as ignoring the Constitution, because this is about this guy Levante Lewis. This has been on the news, because a lot of this stuff has been on the news. They beat him nearly to death, and they made up some sort of false charges, and right here in this release agreement, they're getting him to sign away all his constitutional rights to sue.
Did he have a lawyer?
He did have a lawyer, but you still can't make up a thing. Oh, and not only that.
Wait. Mr. Lewis signed away all of his constitutional rights, and he had a lawyer representing him.
Right.
With release papers.
But it also says that Sheriff C.T. Woody's employees and he aren't responsible for the United States Constitution in this case.
My question is, did Mr. Lewis have a lawyer at every step of the negotiation?
No, he did not.
He did not have a lawyer at every step of the negotiation, and he had just been beaten. But, on top of everything else, there's malpractice, that lawyers can carry out. And also, Tony Pham, who wrote this, obviously I know all these people, and I know the lawyers, and I know the law better than the lawyers. But what I'm saying is, you can't sign away somebody's constitutional responsibility.
I have to say this. I brought Mr. Lewis' mother up here to see him.
How much time we have?
Still got a minute.
Got a minute. Okay.
Yeah, a lot of this.
You're making some explosive charges here, man.
Yeah.
I've been doing it for years. I've been doing it for years. I do it live at city council meetings.
Well, let me say this to you.
We held up.
Let me say this. In all of my 30 years in civil rights, when charges like that come out, somebody investigates. Somebody finds out.
No, they're not.
Somebody. I have never seen charges of that level go unresearched, unfound out.
I'm saying this was on the front page of the paper.
Well, just because in the paper doesn't make it true.
The media law is
what I'm
controlled.
saying is
Because
that
I brought Mr. Lewis' mother up here to talk to Jack Bradley. He never returned the phone call. We came up here 3 times.
I don't believe that there's a hole in the floor down in the jail that people know about, and everybody in the press is covering it up.
Yes.
Everybody in the public.
And I brought Mr. Lewis' mother up here to
I'm
meet
interviewing
you.
him.
All
I'm
right.
interviewing him, okay? And I just don't believe that. I don't believe it. You can say it, but that everybody is covering it up. I'm not saying that the hole may not be there. I don't believe the fact that everybody. No, we ain't gonna say nothing.
They're not involved.
They
They ain't trying to get involved.
Hey, look, I need quiet in my studio, and if you can't, you can go sit out front.
Oh, you've had quiet.
All right, let's go back. Mr. Dorsey, you made some explosive charges here. You're talking about a hole in the jail, violating constitutional rights, Sheriff Woody killing people down at the jail,
Yes.
corruption in the city jail of the magnitude that needs to be investigated. Why do you think that everybody, if you know about this, when I say everybody, the Free Press, the Richmond Times-Dispatch, Style Magazine, radio stations, Jack Gravely Show, everybody, I just found out about this, by the way, knows about this, and nothing is done about it. Why do you think that happens?
Well, I think people do know about it. I mean,
why is nothing done about it?
Well, I mean, because the system's corrupt. It can't be corrected. It needs to be completely changed.
All right, we got about every phone line is lit up here. Let's go to the phones. Let's see who's the longest up here. Let's go to Rome in church here. Rome, I got a little time left. What's your question?
Tell it, brother. Tell it.
Tell
it.
First I've heard of this stuff, man. Let's go to Smith, and Sheriff Woody is going to be on the show on Monday. Smith Midlothian, question or comment? Okay, got him. What is his background, and have he faced repercussions? I got your question. Mr. Dorsey.
Yeah, I'm an economist and a constitutional scholar. I go on international television. I take actions and legal actions against the government of the United States, and I seek and comprehend what the word justice means, and I know that the current so-called law enforcement, or the correctly named criminal justice system has no justice involved.
Have you received any repercussions for some of the charges and comments you made?
I've received nothing but thuggish threats, and I don't back down from goons.
Okay, let's go to Bill in Richmond. Bill, you have a question or comment?
Good morning.
Good morning.
Okay, that's a great question.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Well, most people are in jail because they are victims of trauma or have been traumatizing people, continuously, and that's why they end up in jail. We need to release all nonviolent offenders, and also we need to rehabilitate those who have committed violent crimes. And no one can be rehabilitated in a situation where the crimes are continuing, where the sheriff's deputies are smuggling drugs into the jail, and people need to get off drugs. If you can't keep the drugs out of the jail, you can't put people in jail for being on drugs. So we need to actually care about the people, listen to what the problem is, seek out actual real-world ways to solve the problems, and that is confronting the real issues that put people in the jail, and that's trauma.
Got another call. Mr. William, you have a question or comment for Mr. Dorsey? Yes, you on the air. No, no, no. You have to live in the city to vote in the city. Okay. All right, William. Thanks a lot. Appreciate it. Ladies and gentlemen, you're listening to the Jack Gravely Show. Mr. Dorsey, the first candidate for sheriff, is coming in here. And I'll be honest with you. Some of the things that he is saying this morning, I've never heard of before. In reference to the hole in the ground. Now, I've heard the Constitution. I'm telling you what I know. First, I've heard of some of these things. Especially the hole in the ground. I never heard of that. I'm on the radio every day. Rolling around Richmond. Go up and down Fairfield Way. Used to live in Churchill for 17 years. Used to come by the jail all the... In fact, been down to the jail. Spoke at the jail. Did a show from the jail. I was down in the jail for 3 hours. And I was in a cell block with 88 inmates. And no one whispered in my ear, "Hey, grab it, let me put a bug in you, what's going on in you." Nobody got in my ear like that.
They had a question for Chris Dorsey. Okay.
Comment?
Yes, sir.
I'm not saying they're not true. I'm just saying I've never heard of this.
I am the only candidate running for this office that has face-to-face taken questions from the public with every candidate, including C.T. Woody, and I've confronted C.T. Woody with this information and asked him. I mean, you can.
And what kind of reply have you gotten from him?
A non-reply reply. He says he's never been found criminally guilty, but he does say, yeah, he's been found civilly guilty in violations of wrongful death suits.
Okay. All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's go to David J. David J., you have a question or comment for Mr. Dorsey?
I have to ask you to get on the air if you'd like to, yeah. Yeah, because I can't. Okay. I have to answer some other calls, man, so I need you to answer. Okay, what's your name? JoJo. Hold one moment. Thanks for calling the Jack Gravely Show.
Okay.
Sure.
Okay, Mom. Sure, Mom. Hold one moment. His name is Chris Dorsey. Okay.
That's right.
Okay. All right. You want to reply to that?
Right.
Thank you very much, Mr. David. All right.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you.
People are cooking to death in that jail. People are having water and medication withheld. In the case of, I think it was Grant Sleeper, he was calling out for his medication and water as he was dying. It gets to be 130 degrees in that jail. And actually, according to Bruce Tyler, Marty Jewell, and Cynthia Newbill, there was money that was put forward to put an HVAC unit, and a contract went through to Colonial Web for $250,000 for that HVAC unit, and the money disappeared. And according to Tabrika Rentz, who's a city attorney, because I've investigated all of these things I'm talking about, she said finding that money in the city budget is like finding a needle in a haystack, because nobody is watching what the government is doing. Nobody is watching what the government is doing. That's how these things happen.
Okay. Closing comments. We got to get out of here and go to break.
Okay, I'd just like to close by saying, if people want to be in charge of their government, they only have one choice. The only vote that counts during this election period is voting for Chris Dorsey for sheriff. I'm the only candidate who has faced all of their opponents. C.T. Woody will not have a debate because he is afraid to debate me publicly. And if he can't debate his opposition, if he's afraid of debating his opposition, he can't be sheriff.
Okay, thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, we got to get to a break. Our next interview is lining up in here. I'm sorry, you may want to call back. We've got to go to news break. Got to keep these breaks.
Sorry,
thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Oh, yeah. Pregnant, oh, sorry.
Thank you. We got to roll. My next interview is here.
Pregnant woman losing babies, forced abortions down to jail. Countless numbers of those.
Okay.
And Kizzy and Irving, they've seen and known about all this stuff all along. Thank you, sir.
All right. Thank you.
It.
All right.
All right, Mr. Dorsey, have a good one.
You do the same.
And I want to say this.
Slide that chair down the hall.
Come on. I'm sorry. Come on.
I did bring Miss Lewis up here to talk to you.
Okay.
You never called about the boy being beat. I left messages at your front desk. She was desperate to talk. Patricia Lewis, the boy that was brutally beaten 3 times at the jail. I came up here. We came in the rain. Left messages at your front desk several times.
When?
Okay.
When?
When he got beaten.
I mean,
I got the
when?
date.
It was
I don't have the
2000,
date.
2010.
When we
2010.
came up here, we left plenty of messages. I even called and left messages. I promise you,
Thank you,
I got
Mr.
it on
Radley.
video.
All right,
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good
Get
day.
Tisley in here.
Peace.
Is Tisley out there?
Yeah, he walked in. I'll send him in.
Hey, morning. Oh, I'm doing good. All right, thanks.
He wants you.
This one.
Yeah, I don't know.
Right here.
All right.
Let's see.
All right, let's stop filming now.